Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before I get to our guest here today, well, first of all, you should recognize our guest. We have Sherry back on the podcast. She was on about 7 or 8 months ago, I think. And then I saw what she was looking like basically for her shows. And I was like, okay, you definitely need to come back on again because this is absolutely ridiculous. So, and she just won a pro show a couple of weeks back. And then she's getting ready for one in 2 weeks. So we'll talk to her a little bit about that. But most importantly, she's our current guest. Sherry, thank you so much for coming back on.
Thanks for having me again. I'm excited.
Oh, absolutely. So I got to ask, first of all, what's the weather like in your neck of the woods today?
Oh gosh, it's always so consistent. I don't even check. It's probably in the 80s for sure. Let's see. Yeah, we're looking at 86 here today. It's Florida.
Oh God. But yeah, I mean, hey, I'll take I mean it's like what, like 60.
Pretty nice in Minnesota this time of year, right?
Yeah. I mean it's like 64 right now, but it's going to be probably around that temperature during probably once it heats up today. But yeah, we had really bad thunderstorm last night that ripped through, and then so my dad does insurance adjusting, so he has just been on the phone, constantly. So that's interesting. But then yeah, even like a week ago, we had golf ball size hail, which was
Wow.
which was a lot of fun too, and it lasted for like 15 minutes. So it was our dog was just going ape crap. But hey, it's part of the things that you have to do when you live here. I mean, you have the nice winter, but then, or I mean, not the nice winter, but you got the nice summers, but then just those long winters that are just brutal. But before I get into the winter woes, because I mean, I could do that all the time. Why don't you give us an update on, obviously you won that show, and what's this all been like since we last talked?
It was a pretty exciting weekend. It was the Tampa Pro. I competed in the Masters, which is 40 and up, and also in the Open. I got first place in Masters, came in third in the Open, which I was really excited about. I went in um, with the hopes that I would place in the top five. So top three was, even better. So I left there feeling really confident, really good. It was just overall a great weekend. We met, our goals. Um, so the last month has just been trying to maintain. I'm doing two more shows, one in Shreveport, Louisiana at the end of the month, the Optimum Classic, and then the week after the New York Pro, which got moved to Tampa this year because of COVID. We're going to do that one now since it's close. And so at this point, I mean, just trying to maintain my conditioning, the leanness, and not make sure there's no injuries. Just try to rest. At this point, it's working on posing and fine tuning the routines, things like that. There's really no muscle to be built at this point, and it's just keeping the muscles full and trying not to waste away. So it's
Have you changed up your training at all since for this new prep? Have things changed from your last prep?
um, for this past season. Are you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant between these shows. Um, no, not really, not really. I mean, we same type of training, just a little bit more focus on my legs this year. Definitely needed to build those, which we did. More focus on my lats, but unfortunately, some things have to suffer in order to do that. So now I feel like my shoulders have shrunk a little bit. When I got up on stage in Tampa, we took a look at my physique. It's like, okay, we made these improvements, but your shoulders aren't where we want them to be. So it's always something. Now it's like back to the drawing board. Um, it was just twice a week legs, twice a week back, pretty high volume, just trying to increase the size, which we did. I put on a good amount of muscle mass since last year, so um, I was happy with it because this year I got up there and felt like my size was as equal to the other competitors, and then my conditioning was on point, which I always come in conditioned. It's just my body responds well to that. So I'm fortunate there, but yeah, we're just trying to get the size now. And now it's just symmetry, you know.
That's why I could never be a bodybuilder, because she literally just said, "Oh yeah, my shoulders, I think they suffer a little bit." If I were to look like that, everyone, I would be like the happiest person on the planet, just walking around, just like, "Oh my God, this is so great." But that just shows, how bodybuilding is just so much different, because yeah, it's everything has to be proportioned. I mean, you can't just I mean, it's just you have to be just so well rounded, and that just
Right.
shows to the dedication and the drive that these competitors have. But nutrition wise too, have you been mixing things up this prep, or is it stayed the same as your current prep or as your preps that you've had down the line?
I was really good this off season with staying on my diet and not really doing much off plan. I was allowed 2 free meals a week, for most of it, and that's enough for me. I mean, that enough to get rid of my cravings, and I enjoy the foods that I eat, so it doesn't bother me to stay on plan. But the first year competing, I had a harder time. I don't think I understood how important the rebound was as far as reverse dieting and maintaining the diet all year long. So I definitely adhered to it better this year, and I think it just makes your prep easier. It makes your life easier. I think you get better results in the gym. So yeah, just staying more compliant, really, but nothing changed as far as what I eat or of course, as I added more muscle, we added more volume of the food. But you know, just that bodybuilder diet, doing what everybody else does. No secret.
Yep. Well, and we talked about this last time how, posing is the hardest thing usually for most bodybuilders. How have you changed up your posing routine from your last prep?
Um, you just have to kind of look at your body and see the changes that are made. Because my legs were bigger, there's certain poses that I looked better in this year, like my front double bicep. I was able to just make some every year, things just look different. I didn't change a lot. I was just more confident in which ones looked better this year, I guess. I could see the definition in my legs more. So I was able to, just accentuate and try to make that look better.
Well, you said front double bicep. Can we see the guns? Because good God, everyone, she's leaned down and it's just absolutely ridiculous. Oh my God. Okay. Well, she's gonna win. I mean, that's not even fair, everyone. Let's just, everyone else that's going into that competition, just give up. I mean, just,
Yeah,
just,
you tell her, but just go home.
just go home. Yeah. Don't even have the competition. Just email her the trophy. Yeah, just send it to her in the mail. I mean, really, yeah. That's
I
just,
wish that's all it was about. I wish it just took big guns. But
oh,
yeah, there's some incredible competitors. The ladies that I get on stage with, they all look phenomenal, and it's so close. Ivy and Jeannie, came in first and second in Tampa, and we're looking at the pictures, and it was just so close. Everybody has things that they're good at. Like Ivy's shoulders are outstanding. Not to toot my own horn, but I think I have a great back. You know, Jeannie's waist is so small and tiny, and she gets that great V taper with her lats. So everybody has their good features.
yeah, she posted a video. I'll have it play, but it was on Sherry's Instagram where she did her back pose, and I literally thought it was morphed. If I hadn't known Sherry ahead of time, I'd be like, okay, there's no way that's real. And then I was like, oh, but that actually is. So I was like, okay, that's just ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, most people don't realize that. Yeah, it is a game of inches when it comes down to the judging. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, I mean, they'll find a flaw in you no matter what, and it really just boils down to, just how you're looking on that day. But when it comes to also maintaining this, like you said, throughout, like, I mean, you're going to be maintaining this look hopefully for maybe like a month and a half.
So,
I mean, just the mindset that you need to have in order to maintain this and just the drive and the work. How are you able to go through all this mentally? Just because for me, I mean, just with all the cardio that you still have to do and all this stuff. I mean, let's face it, right now you are not at your healthiest. I mean, you look
no,
amazing, but it's like it takes a mental toll on you. How are you able to push through it for this extended period of time?
this has been hard. This has been a hard last month on me. I'm definitely depleted of energy, of patience. I'm hungry. I'm, it's been a little bit more difficult the last few weeks for me. I don't think last year I had this much time between my shows. Um, or if I did, I think I was working hard to like make improvements. Where right now I'm just kind of staying idle. Um, I just tell myself it's short term, and I try to remember the big picture and what my goal is, and you know, that, like everybody that gets out in front of the public, that fear of putting yourself out there keeps you in check. I don't want to get on stage and with soggy glutes and looking, terrible. So you just keep pushing through. Um, I just take it day by day. I try not to think too far out, like next week, this week, because then you start psyching yourself out. I just think, okay, today's Saturday. This is my meal plan, and I just focus on today. That's how I get through it.
And yeah, I mean, I that's the only way that I would do it too. Because if I were to, look ahead, like days at a time. But I mean, this coronavirus has completely changed the way that we've lived our lives. And I mean, I know being in Florida where it's been hit, especially hard. How has this, pandemic impacted your life, and how have you been able to stay in shape too? Because I mean, we've had so many gym closures that we've talked to all these people around the nation for. What has that journey been like from you since basically mid March?
I know this is going to sound crazy, but it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me and to my bodybuilding career, at least. I'm a dental hygienist by, profession. So I was out of work for almost 2 months. So that allowed me to really live like a bodybuilder. That whole eat, sleep, train. That's what I did for 2 months. And so I got a lot of rest. I'm normally running, I think we talked about this in the last interview. Like, I'm running on maybe 5 hours of sleep a day. It just isn't enough. So this prep, the last, those 2 months, I was sleeping 8, 9 hours a day, which was fantastic. I felt like I got, definitely better results, from my training. Um, I don't really ever have a problem staying on the diet, so we just kept rolling with that. As far as working out, was super super blessed to know the owners of the two gyms that I work out in, and they allowed me to come in when they were training. So they knew my goal. They knew that I was competing this year. At least that was the intentions. So many shows have been canceled, but we didn't know what was going to happen. So we just kept our eye, on Tampa, um, and I was supposed to do Puerto Rico too. But so anyway, I was blessed to be able to still train every day. I know a lot of people weren't, but fortunately, I because I am a pro IFBB. I hate to say it, but they give you a little bit more privilege. And so the two gyms raised the bar, and Functionally Fit were just amazing. They're both like my family, so they knew how important this was, and they made accommodations for me.
And that's so great. And we've heard similar stories to that too, where I mean, hey, having a pro card, other than just being able to compete at pro shows, it does have some certain benefits too. So, hey, anyone out there, more motivation if you're looking to become a pro. That's another thing that you can say, hey, in case there's another pandemic, you can sort of, get some workouts in somewhere. But there were a lot of meat shortages around the country too. In Florida, did you guys have to deal with any of that?
No, I really didn't come across too much of it. There was a couple times I'd gone to the grocery store and there wasn't any chicken, but we have this place called Gordon Food Service, and I don't think everybody knew about it. They usually supply to restaurants, but they're also open to the public. So I went in there and got bulk everything. And no, the only thing I ran out of during the quarantine was toilet paper. So I was good there. Like I said, I was really blessed this whole time. Everything went, this was like the smoothest prep I've ever done. It just, everything went perfectly. Never had an injury really, never struggled with anything. So paid off. All my stars came into alignment this year.
How have you been dealing just being with your family though for basically 24/7 for an extended period of time? How's that been working? Because I mean, me and my parents, we love each other dearly, but I had to come back in for the pandemic. Me and my two brothers did. My older brother just moved out then again because it's been long enough in here. But how have you guys been coping? Because for us, it's been an interesting time. I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, it, it was. I had to homeschool my kids, at first, and again, I was sad to be out of work, but I couldn't have done that and focused on that as well, with working. So, but that was trying. I certainly have a lot of respect for teachers. I know I would never want to be a teacher. I'm praying that the kids don't have to come back to homeschooling this year because I just don't have patience for it. But it's hard for the kids too. This is not their proper learning environment. There's too many distractions. It was all just different for everybody. But we got through it. Everybody passed. We're all moving on. Um, my older, I have two teenagers, and they struggled more emotionally than I expected. But being isolated away from friends, not having that socialization, they're 14 and 16, and that's a huge part of your life at that point. I mean, thank God for Skype and Snapchat and all those things, and they were able to FaceTime their friends and stuff. But it just gets to the point where it's not enough. So I a lot of stress was on me for their mental health and still is, so I'm really glad that at least they're going back to school and they can see some friends and try to get some normality going. Um, but it also was a time of bonding. We played a lot of board games. We watched a lot of movies. We hung out and lots of meals cooked at home that I have to admit I've kind of backed off of. Especially during prep when I've got to make all my food and stuff. It's easy to just give them frozen pizza or whatever. But I had time. We did a lot of baking, and so it was. I tried to focus on the positive things every day. We just took it day by day, just like everyone else out there.
I mean, I could not imagine being 14 or 16 and going through this because you're talking to a guy that does podcasts in his free time. So you think how much socialization I need to have. So yeah, I already lost my mind, but yeah, being at that age, man, that has got to be so rough because yeah,
Yeah.
that's your entire life basically is the socialization and the friends. So, but yeah, I mean, so do they have any idea of, what's going to be like when they go back to school? If it's going to be, like a hybrid or if it's going to be just all going back regularly or?
Yeah, Florida had a choice. Or at least our county had a choice. We could do either, in school all day. We could do a hybrid, or we could do online. And then in the online, there was two versions. You could do virtual school, which is at your own pace through a different system, or now they have cameras in the classroom where you can sit at home and just like be live in the room. Um, and I talked to my kids about what was best for them. They both wanted to go back, and again, I don't think people are taking into consideration the mental health aspect of this. And for my kids, they're social, they like being out of the house, they want to see their friends. So a lot of parents are like, I can't believe you're risking it, I can't believe you're putting your kids in danger. They have to wear masks to school. They are implementing social distancing and certain protocols to help keep them safe. I feel like, their mental health is just as important as their physical health. And at this point, their risks are low. My kids are healthy. They don't have immune issues or any kind of, breathing issues. So to me, I'm willing for, to roll the dice and have them be healthy, mind, body, and, and everything. So off we go to school.
Well, absolutely, and I think there's going to be books written about this, decades from now, and the lasting psychological damage that this has had on some people, unfortunately. So yeah, that's what I say too. I mean, like I have the opposite where I mean, like I have an aunt who has MS that like we're not going to be able to see her for probably like another year or so, at least until there's a vaccine. But hey, it's just stuff you got to do. But yeah, for going back to school, I mean, I have teachers too, and they are just losing their mind too, where they're just like, what is this? Because in Minnesota, they're doing the hybrid thing now when they're going back to school because we don't start school until after Labor Day. But then it's that'll just be an interesting thing to see. But
Yeah,
yeah, just
it's going to be hard for the teachers. I don't. I have a lot of respect for them, and it's a shame because they certainly aren't paid enough for what they have to deal with and what they're doing. And I try to remind my kids of that too. Like, take it easy on your teachers this year. Everybody, this is going to be a new struggle for everyone. They're not going to have the same kind of activities that you normally have, and dances and clubs and things. And it's just not going to be an easy year. But to try to just have patience with everyone and be kind. You know,
I I,
so
I feel bad for that first kid that coughs in class.
I'm sorry, you were breaking
Oh,
up. Do
oh,
what?
I feel bad for that first kid that coughs in class.
I know. My daughter has allergies, and I'm like, you cannot have allergies at school.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, I don't know either, but
Yeah, yeah,
no coughing, no sneezing, no nothing.
yeah.
My 7-year-old ended up getting a mild fever and a little cough just a couple weeks ago, and I had to stay home with them from work. And they wouldn't let me come back to work. I had to go get a COVID test. He had to get a COVID test. I was off work for a week. So, and luckily, it came back negative for both of us, but they're not messing around. So, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I really hope we can keep them in school. I don't know what I'm going to do if they switch it to homeschooling again. I have a job, and I can't leave my second grader here by himself. So, I don't know. I'm just, again, one day at a
You
time.
can always start him as like a dentist apprentice or something like that then.
Right?
Yeah,
Maybe we have them clean the operatories up after the
yeah.
patients leave or something.
Well,
I
speaking
don't
of
know.
which, because I did go and get my teeth checked out in July right before my birthday because I turned 26 and I was off my parents' health insurance. So then I went and got everything done with that. And everyone there's wearing like multiple layers. Is that the same what they're doing with you? Where like I had a guy who had a face mask on and then he had a mask on top of that, and then he had like
Yeah,
another thing on where I was like, buddy, I mean, I respect it, but it's like, geez, that must be really uncomfortable.
it's horrible. I really thought that I was going to have to quit my job when I went back. I was very claustrophobic. I was hyperventilating. The N95 mask you have to wear is very hard to breathe. So you're just like, rebreathing your own carbon dioxide. And then, yeah, and then I had to wear a face shield on top of that. And then I have these, glasses underneath that and a jacket that's all buttoned up. And so I'm just constantly sweating at work. It's gross. I hate it. The problem is I am a very social person. When my patients come in, I like to talk to them. I like to catch up, and it's got me to the point where I don't even hardly talk because I can't breathe. Like I'm trying to save my breath. Um, I leave with headaches. I leave feeling more exhausted than I normally would. Um, it's been a lot to have to deal with, but
Well, and plus, in the condition that you're in right now, I mean, that definitely is not doing you any favors. But like one of my dentists, he had like a Darth Vader mask that he would put on just for like a joke or something like that. And I was like, okay, that's what everyone should wear. Like that would make everything so much more fun if everyone just had like Darth Vader masks
yeah.
that they were walking around in. But yeah,
My
I
son
mean,
was going to do that. There was talk about on Tampa that having to wear a mask on stage. So I was like, maybe I'll just get one of those like giant Hello Kitty heads, and that way I wouldn't have to wear my makeup. I wouldn't have to pay to do my hair.
well,
Like,
I was gonna say some of the bodybuilders must love that though, because then you don't have to smile on stage. Then that's one of the big things too. So I mean, it's like I had one guest who's like, maybe I should just like paint a smile on my mask then,
right? I
and then
thought
have
about that, like
yeah,
getting the Photoshop like of my face on
yeah.
a mask. 'Cause I was trying to come up with other solutions because they tell you so much is in your presentation and your smile and how you come up on stage, and I'm like, you can't see what we look like. Um, So that, yeah, thank God that didn't happen. We didn't have to wear them on stage. So
And I mean, even though you do have to wear a mask when you go outside, what does this part of your prep look like when it comes to like going outside and interacting with other people, especially if you're dressed like the way you are right now? Because I mean, the last time we talked, you were in your off season, but like now, if you're to walk outside like right now, it's gonna get a lot more stares than even it would before, just because you're just in such great condition right now. What is that like now? Just like walking immediately after you walk outside, what is that like for you then in like interactions with other people?
um, I don't know. I think I've learned to just. I know people are staring. I can see it. I feel it. I've just learned to block it out, or I've learned to just become comfortable with it, familiar with it. I think I'm a little naive to it. I kind of have a funny story. I with the mask thing. We were going somewhere, and I had to go into the gas station, and I put the mask on, and this is at sort of at the beginning of the pandemic. I said to my son, like, I can't believe I got to do this. I'm surprised, they make us wear these. I could go in and rob the place. Nobody's going to know what I look like. My son looked at me. He's like, trust me, they'll recognize who you are and pick you out in the lineup. And I just kind of laughed. I was like, whatever. And I had my sunglasses on. So I go into the store, and, he's with me. We go up to the counter, and as soon as I get to the counter, this girl looks at me. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I follow you on Instagram." She's like, "I know who you are." So my son turned to me and he's like, "See, like the mask is not helping.
Yeah.
These, the arms are noticeable, the shoulders are noticeable. I do wear a lot of tank tops when I go out in Florida because it's hot down here. So, like I said, I just get used to the looks, and a lot of people know, at least in my community, like they know that I'm competing. So they'll say, "Oh, and you can tell you're getting ready for your competition." So they know that this isn't my normal look. It's not this severe all year long.
Well, that's what you gotta tell him. Like, no, I'm not getting ready for a show. This is just naturally, I'm just doing this, just
My beach bod.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just doing it just for laughs, basically, just
Yeah.
for gigs. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I've always found people's reactions to be so fascinating too. But it's like, yeah, you cannot. with all this mask, and that's one thing that I've worried about too. I was like in a store, I was like, whenever I'm in a convenience store and someone else walks in, it's like, okay, yeah, honestly, I could just rob the place and they wouldn't know. But hey, yeah, you do. Your son was right. You do stick out like a sore thumb. So you can't get away with
I
that
can't
right
commit
now.
any crimes even with my mask on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's that too as well. But I mean, just dealing with all this stuff that we dealt with, as with this pandemic, and then also dealing with your bodybuilding too. I mean, mentally, has it been easier for you to just focus on your bodybuilding even after you got back to work? Just because that's a theme that we've heard that's similar to a lot of people, is that just with this social distancing and you're not seeing as many of your friends as you maybe normally would, it just has really helped people being able to laser focus in on like their careers. Do you think that with your bodybuilding, this prep has been so much easier to focus on just because of this as well?
I do. I do. I definitely. I, I, sometimes I use bodybuilding as a coping mechanism. And so, there's just been a lot going on in our country right now that, I mean, I don't want to be naive to, but it's stressful and it's a lot to take in and it's a lot to process. And so, um, sometimes that gives me, especially with having kids and thinking about their future and the future of our country, it becomes overwhelming for me. So, to just be able to turn to bodybuilding and put all of my focus there, that's what I tend to do, to just block out the reality of the world. And so, yeah, I definitely have done that this prep. I've taken all my focus and put it there because, um, to me, like, I like to control things. I like to feel like I'm in control. And what's going on in our country right now, I just feel like there's nothing that I can do. So bodybuilding is something I can control. So
I've said it before and I've said it again. Lifting weights is one of the healthier addictions that you can have. I mean, at least you're not shooting up somewhere or something like that, heroin or something like that, in a back alley. So, hey, I've had times too where I'm just like, okay, I just got to lift it out. So I'll go down to the gym downstairs and just take care of that. But what is your relationship with cardio like right now? Because I know we talked about this last time, but I mean, I hate cardio more than life itself. I mean, it's my number one bane of my existence. But because I have so much free time now, I just go on really long walks. But what is your cardio looking like right now?
again, I cannot stress the importance of staying on your diet and working, your nutrition plan all year. My cardio is very minimal. I've done at the most this prep 45 minutes a day, down to 25 minutes a day now. And that didn't even start, I don't know, maybe a couple, maybe 2 months ago. Up until then, I was still just doing maybe a half hour, a few days a week, because I stayed pretty lean all year. I don't, you know, go too far over the weight. And we started prep early this year. Like, you know, I knew I had time. I knew when the shows were. So, we were 20 something weeks out. We started chiseling away. So, um, yeah, cardio is not a thing for me. I like doing it. I like getting up, doing fasted cardio in the morning. It gets, everything moving and gets my brain going and my mood heightened. So it has not been grueling for me at all.
I
No.
mean, and good for you, I guess, because Jesus.
I know I feel bad saying it, but I
Yeah.
sacrifice a lot in my diet to not have
Yeah.
to do a lot of cardio.
Yeah. No, and
So
hey, hey, that I mean, like we talked about last time, dude, diet, that's 80 to 90% of it. So, hey, if you got a right diet, yeah, you don't have to be like me and have to go on like 100-minute walks just to be able to see some abs in you. So, yeah, it's just again, I couldn't stress the nutrition part more enough, but a lot of people when we were first talking about, the start of the pandemic, they, had shows in mind that they were getting ready for, and a lot of people for that first week or so that things were closed, they really really struggled. Did you have, I mean, like you said, you had some dates in mind, but like that first few weeks, did you struggle to still maintain that motivation just when everything seemed to be sort of crumbling down?
well, the shows that I originally picked were all this summer. So the first one actually was Chicago Pro. It was supposed to be Fourth of July weekend, and before that even got canceled or moved, we just said, as time is, the months were going on, we're like, that might be iffy. My coach is like, I really don't want you to put a lot of stress on yourself. So I was like, all right, let's just get rid of that one and let's do Tampa, Puerto Rico, and we talked about maybe another one, some other ones in October, but because I picked shows a little further out, I they didn't get, they it wasn't I know Tampa still happened. So it was starting to get a little nerve wracking as they were getting canceled. But I just kept believing that all of the restrictions were going to be lifted. I mean, my gosh, we thought that, the pandemic was going to be like a month or two of quarantine or whatever, So I thought by July and August we'd be good to go. And as far as the Puerto Rico Pro, that ended up being the same weekend as Shreveport. So we were just, able to switch it. Not that I'd much rather be in Puerto Rico, but I knew that would probably be getting canceled. So I don't know. I didn't struggle with that too much.
I mean, I totally forgot when you were telling us about how everyone thought, yeah, it was going to be like a month or two maybe for like a pandemic, but yeah, I mean, I'm just upset because Halloween is probably my favorite holiday, and that's on a Friday this year. Okay,
Yeah,
this is the
all of
one
the
year that's on.
holidays are like on great
Yeah,
days this year.
we're gonna have to wait another like 5 or 6 years before that happens again, everyone. And by that time, I mean it's like who knows where we're gonna be at right now. So yeah, and I'm yeah, and then like Christmas is on a Friday, and then like the New Year. I mean, it's just this was the perfect year for days like yeah, Fourth of July was on a Friday too, so then everyone got an extra day off, and it's
I think like Cinco de Mayo was actually on Taco Tuesday. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It was those kind of like little things. I'm super bummed about Halloween. Like that's my favorite holiday. And there was even a meme that came out during the beginning of this pandemic, and my boss sent it to me because it was something about this better be over by October because Halloween's ruined. I'm gonna burn something up.
So wait, I can't remember. So didn't you live in Minnesota for a couple of years?
I did for
Okay, so
6.
I'm just gonna say it's just because so the Minnesota State Fair got canceled like early on, and I mean, being that you've lived here, you know how important
Yeah.
that is. But like at your local like Menards or stuff like that, they have State Fair food that you can still go and buy. So like literally after I'm done talking to you, they're selling like those mini donuts and they have like cheese curds and they have like corn on the cob and stuff like that that you can go and buy. So that's been the one thing that's been my cheat meal then basically for this entire summer and this pandemic is that like once a week I'll go and I'll get like a thing of mini donuts or I'll get like a couple of corn dogs and stuff. But
Well, that's really the only reason you go to the fair anyway,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah, I go there for the slide. Yeah, that's the reason. No, yeah.
I
So
did
yeah,
miss Minnesota State Fair. That was pretty awesome.
yeah. I mean, just but they don't have any of the cool stuff that they'll have. So like I don't know. I always try like the deep fried Twinkies. Oh my god, that's just making me drool just even thinking about them. But hey, thank God you
We're
aren't still
talking
here.
about food. I'm starving.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, thank God you're not here now for this prep because then, like, if the state fair was going on and you were getting ready for those shows, I would hate myself. So I would just,
I wasn't gonna leave the house. I'd probably have to say I couldn't do like a drive by.
I'd tell him like you're gonna have to duct tape me to like a chair or something like that until my show basically, and then you're gonna have to like drag me out there then and do it. But I was gonna ask you what's your go-to food that you're looking forward to having most after this, but I'm not gonna torture you so much like that. So I'm just gonna say that I was gonna ask the question. But I mean, being that you are close to your shows right now, I mean, what does it look like now for your diet? Do you mix things up knowing that like, hey, I'm only like 2 weeks out as opposed to maybe like how you were like 2 weeks ago when you just finished your show?
No, there's no mixing it up.
Okay.
It's everything stays the same. You don't want to end up having any digestive issues or reaction to anything, so you make as little change in your diet as possible. Um, so yeah, it's not very exciting right now, and it's not very much food right now. I'm kind of in a depletion mode right now, so not very many carbs. So there's definitely things that I'm looking forward to having once this is over. I did buy some, those big cookies you see like on Instagram from those cookie companies stuffed with things. So they're sitting in my freezer waiting until I can have them. I'm not real sure when that's going to be, but that I crave sweets, so I'm looking forward to some sweets when this is done.
Well, I hate to show you this, but I had a guest from Australia on. It was her second time on, and she was on like 2 weeks ago, and her podcast will be up, I think, either this Wednesday or Friday for anyone thinking, but well, then it'll be up before this one gets released. But she sent me Australian Tim Tams, which is they're like a chocolate candy that you can have. Tim
Okay,
Tams, yeah, yeah, they're like kind of like a thing. And she also, I've never had it before, but Vegemite.
I've never had either one of those.
Never had any of those, so I'm gonna try them, and then we're gonna see how that goes. But again, thank you, Rose, for
Like it's
sending.
healthy. Healthy is it?
Yeah, so like Vegemite's kind of like a jelly that like they put on toast.
Okay.
And then the Tim Tams, no, the Tim Tams probably aren't the healthiest thing. Like they're like kind of like chocolate wafers. It kind of looks like.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so well, and then because she told her, I was like, I've never had Australian food, and then she's like, okay, I definitely got to sing. So again, thank you to Rose. I just had to mention that here just because it's awesome. But yeah, I am going to try that, and I mean Vegemite, that's the number one Australian thing. But enough food now because I can already see I'm already drooling myself. So I was like, okay, I can't imagine what Sherry's doing right now. But I mean, I don't know if I asked you this last time, but the number one thing that I asked before New Year's this last year was, what is one body part that everyone's looking to train more than anything else or improve on the most? And the answers were arms, back, abs, legs, and shoulders. Arms won by like 10%. So what does an arm workout look like for you right now? Now that you're in your, I mean, now that you're ready to compete, or what have you done to help your arms grow?
I do BFR training once. I'm on like a three. I'm trained for 3 days. So I do back, legs, and then my upper body is combined: a chest, shoulder, arm workout, and then I have a rest day, and then I'm back on my 3 days. So out of one of those arm trainings, I do BFR, which is blood flow restriction training, where you put like a cuff, up high, and then the pressure there takes all the blood to the muscle and it keeps it there. So it's supposed to help with growth. You don't have to lift as heavy, which is good for me because I have some tendon issues in my elbows and my forearms. So to be able to take that weight load off a little bit, but still keep the blood there, um, is just something that I do that I think has been helpful for my arms.
You think that she's veiny now, everyone. Just wait until you see one of those posts when and then it just restricts, and I was like, yeah, you got to worry if you're gonna burst one of those times. Just be like,
It
okay, one of
almost feels like you are sometimes. You have
yeah,
to monitor that pretty closely because it's painful. You
yeah.
because you have to keep doing your reps through that pump.
How long have you been doing that?
Just this season for my arms. I did it last year for my legs because I had a knee injury while we were doing it last year. I had pulled the tendon, my patella tendon. So again, to take the weight load down, we did it for my legs. So yeah, but this year just my arms. I think I didn't really know why my coach put it in there for my arms this year. I think just because we were so focused on my back and on my legs that I wasn't getting as much arm training as normal. So we were just trying to help, you know, keep the growth there.
Hey, yeah, and it's work. And again, yeah, there's so many things for so many different people that work for them. So that's why I just highly recommend, everyone just trying things out. But I mean,
Right.
yeah. So the last couple of questions. I mean, if we were to talk to you again, a year from today, but who knows if you win all these shows, we'll probably have you on in like another 6 months too. But where would you like to be at in your bodybuilding? What are some goals that you'd like to have achieved if we were to talk to you then?
Well, this year would be amazing if I win one of these two shows and could go to the Olympia. Um, that, of course, is every bodybuilder, pro bodybuilder's dream. But to actually like see myself in contention this year, and I already have points towards the Olympia, it's kind of exciting to think that it's a possibility. Um, I would still love to do the Arnold. That's always been a dream of mine as well. I'm sure a lot of people, but I'm originally from Ohio, so I have a lot of friends and family there still. It'd just be cool to be able to do that show. But as far as my physique, I don't really want to. I'm not looking to go into bodybuilding. I want to stay in women's physique. I like this division. Um, so as far as putting on more size, I definitely want to grow my back, grow my lats, improve my legs, but I still want to stay in women's physique range. So I think it's just a little bit more size, more fine tuning. Just getting things more symmetrical.
Do you find that that's kind of hard just to like say like, hey, I only want to put on a little bit of size because it's kind of like a juggling act because if you put on a little bit too much, then people are like, oh, you need to go into bodybuilding, whereas you just have to find the right amount. Do you find that that's hard to kind of figure out like what that right amount is where you're not tipping the scale too much in favor of bodybuilding or physique?
Um, that's why I hire a coach.
Yeah.
I I mean that's what I pay him for. I work with Derek Natcher with um, Loud Performance Training, and he's been my coach for the last 3 years. And so he's kind of the mastermind behind all that. He knows what my goals are, and so we come up with a plan, and I just implement what he tells me to do.
I thought coaches were just there for emotional support. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just no, no, yeah,
Yeah.
that's another reason why you get a coach too, because yeah, we've had some people who for their first few shows they clearly have like a physique body and they go and compete in bikini and then it's like, okay, what are you doing? Like it's like yeah, so I mean it
And he told me from the very beginning, when I first competed, I wanted to do figure, and I did do figure. But that first year, he was like, "I really think you should be in WPD." He was like, "I want you to do both." And I fought him and fought him and fought him, and sure enough, that year I won my pro card in women's physique, and have been here ever since. So your coaches, if you have a good coach, they know what they're doing. They know what your body type is and where you'll fit. So it's important to get an outsider's perspective on things. Somebody who's been in this profession and industry a lot longer than you have. So
Absolutely. And lastly, I mean, when it comes down to, I mean, people want to get in shape and they want to make changes, but I just feel that so many people just don't know how to. They don't have the tools on how to do it. But I say this is the perfect time now because, I mean, we always know that age old excuse where it's like, I just don't have enough time. Well, you have all the time in the world right now. Like, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for it now. But what advice do you have for people right now who are looking to just maybe get started doing something? Because I know a lot of people, like in Minnesota, all the gyms are still closed now. A lot of, or I think the vast majority of them are. But for anyone who's just looking to get started doing something, because I always say just have that base, so when everything does open back up, and hopefully things get somewhat back to normal. I mean, they have that base where they can really, make good changes. Then.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of online things out now that people are doing that you can do through YouTube's, and there's different programs through your TV and stuff like that. I know that you can order different videos, and so I mean, there's things that you can still do at home to kind of jumpstart that. Um, but like I said earlier, more importantly is getting your nutrition in line. That you can do all the exercises at home you want, but if you're sitting around with the quarantine 15 and a bag of chips in your lap, it's not going to come, together for you. So it's a great time to start looking up some healthy recipes, start coming up with meal planning, learning how to meal plan and how to prep your food so that you're prepared for the week and prepared to not go grab fast food when you're running short on time. So I would say put more focus on nutrition than even on training, especially with the gyms being closed at this point. Moderate exercise is enough if your nutrition's in line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I had a root beer float last night, and I'm feeling that right now in my stomach right now. But hey, I also this is my cheat meal day, so that was my so I get a cheat dessert and then I get a cheat meal. So then I don't have them on the same day because that's just torture then, because then you only have like one thing to look forward to. So I'll probably just end up getting like a Burger King or a Dairy Queen or something like that tonight. So, but yeah, I mean, and I always say just start walking too. I mean, like that's the easiest thing that you can do, unless you don't have both your legs. Everyone can do it. I mean, it's and that's something that I really say that everyone should really get into. But is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up?
Um, well, I mean, just of course to the gyms that help me. I really, really, really owe a lot to them this year. My coach Derek, he's been amazing. My kids who deal with all of this craziness in and day out, and I have a very, very supportive boyfriend right now who a lot of those pictures that you see on Instagram and the videos, he's at the gym taking them and helping just boost my confidence and helping with my training and keeping me on track. It's nice to have supportive people by your side through this, because prep gets to be a little tough and sometimes you forget your why, and so to have somebody that is there for you means the world. So those have been important people through this prep for me.
Now, if I were to ask him, what's the over under on how many times you guys have to take a photo before it's just right?
I know, right? He's pretty good. His skills are
I
pretty good.
I know some guys who with their girlfriends they're really like, okay, Ryan, it's like 20 times, and then we have to sort through them and then pick like the perfect one. And I was like, oh, I was like, oh, you poor guy, yeah, yeah.
And he's really good with just like taking some video and and he'll snap a picture from the video. Because I'm in the gym to work. So, I mean, if he can get some great video footage while I'm training, or snap a quick picture, that's great. But we're not in there, playing, you know,
I was gonna say, if you look the way that you look right now, just from going in the gym and playing around, basically, I would just be like, "What the hell is going on here?" Like, this is just absolutely insane. But yeah, and again, yeah, I mean, Sherry, we can't wish you nothing but the best. And I mean, I think you're gonna do great. Obviously, just seeing the way that you look right now, and I couldn't think of a better way to end it. Can you give us another front double by again? And just there's that. I don't know if there's any more motivation that anyone ever needs than to just work out. Than just okay, this is just an oh god, I need to go and train arms now right after I'm done talking to her because this is just absolutely ridiculous, everyone. But again, ugh, that's not even fair. I mean, it's just like hell. Hang on, you do have like some of the best abs of all time, so can we get an ab shot? I mean,
They're
her.
a little flat today 'cause,
Oh, a little flat. Yeah, are you kidding me? A little flat. My
yeah,
that's not.
they're there.
That's not
So
even funny. I mean, that's
we're
just.
like I said, we're staying in show condition. So
Well,
I don't get to go have a root beer float or
yeah. I
a
well,
donut.
hey, if I was promised that I would look like that, I would never have another root beer float the rest of my life. Okay, you kidding me? So okay, yeah. So here, I'm giving everyone some extra added motivation right as we wrap things up. But again, you guys go and check out Sherry. I'll leave a link to her Instagram page down below. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing out. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Ryan.